Hi, I'm Karen Sutherland from Edible Eden Design, and today I'm going to talk to you about Buruli safe gardening, or indeed gardening in any area where mosquito-borne diseases are an issue. Now for me, Buruli in the northern suburbs of Melbourne is an issue because I was bitten by mosquitoes in my front garden, and now I can't wear shoes for months because I have a Buruli ulcer on my ankle. And I'm really moved to try to help prevent this happening to any more neighbours, there's quite a lot in this area, or any other friends and relatives. And if you live in a Buruli area, I hope that this video will help you. Now we know because of Victorian research that the vectors for the spread of Buruli in Victoria are possums and mosquitoes. And this means that infected possums drop their poo or scats into water sources and indeed into soil in gardens, but in water sources where mosquitoes are then able to breed, and this is one way that they get the bacteria into them and then pass it on to humans. I believe they can also bite infected possums and also take in the bacteria, and then unfortunately what these mosquitoes do is pass it on to humans. Now, you can also get Buruli, it is thought, by having a cut, which is one reason it's good to wear gloves. But if you have any cut or broken skin on your feet, or if you're walking barefoot in your garden, or on your hands, then you need to dress it. Or I would recommend in a Buruli hotspot, especially if you see possum poo in your garden, not walking bare feet. So there are many ways that we can help avoid these problems. One is to help prevent the mosquitoes from breeding. So we're going to look at simple ways to check for water problems in our garden and where mosquitoes might be breeding and get rid of those. We're going to look at wearing personal protective equipment, just simple gear, some of it's sitting here, that you can use, and also about using mosquito coils and incense sticks at your front and back doors at dusk and dawn if people are coming in and out of your house to help prevent mosquitoes coming in. So there's a number of different ways you can help prevent Buruli ulcers and mosquitoes. We're going to look at important ways to modify your garden and your gardening habits so that you can be safe from the Buruli, or safer from the Buruli bacteria, and also to discourage mosquitoes from breeding or hanging around in your garden. We're going out to do some gardening. How do we help keep ourselves safe in a Buruli hotspot, or for that matter, any area where there are lots of mosquito-borne diseases? First of all, we try to cover as much skin as possible. And there can be little gaps. And in this case, I've got a shirt sleeve that's not terribly long. I've got very long arms. We put on gloves for a start. Now I know that mosquitoes can still bite through gloves and indeed through socks. And so then we put on the next layer of defense, which is some insect repellent. And that is where you can pull up your socks too, obviously, but the point is I'm trying to show you that you cover yourself in insect repellent, especially any gaps. So this gap here, very important. We pop it around our neck, and then if mosquitoes are really bad, and some places they are, then we use a mosquito net and nestle that around ourselves. And I'll just lift it up to talk to you. Normally we also wear boots, gardening boots, which protect us from getting bitten through our socks a lot more. It's just that because I have a Buruli ulcer, I cannot wear boots at the moment because it hurts. So it's really simple to wear our own PPE or personal protective equipment at home to go out and garden. Now if you're going out just to relax in the garden, then try and wear long, loose-fitting clothes and wear insect repellent anywhere where your skin is exposed. And you may also decide to still wear a mosquito net. Here's 3 ways that mosquitoes can be breeding in your garden without you even realising. The first is your habitat pond or wildlife water that we all like to keep in the garden to feed little lizards that are living amongst the leaves, or small birds. Now, while it's nice for the creatures to be in a hidden part of the garden if they're shy, it's not so good for remembering to refresh the water and therefore removing the chance of mosquitoes breeding. Also, you should be refreshing the water for the creatures. But I'm just pointing out it's really easy to forget, and this is the sort of thing that can happen. Now, this is a bit heavy, so it's a bit heavy to lift up, and so if you're going to have ponds like this, you need to be able to then flush them, get the last out, make sure you're removing all breeding mosquitoes, and then top it up. Ideally, this little pond will get moved to a more prominent position on the edge of the path so that it's easy to see, oh, that needs refreshing, remove mosquitoes. Story done. The second way is if you have saucers underneath plants. And this is quite a common thing to do to help retain that little bit of extra moisture as a reserve for plants during hot days, especially when they're getting a bit too big for their pots. Now, if you go to water your plant if you're watering every day, and at the end of that time period when you go back to water again, or every second day, there's still water sitting in the saucer, then just do this, just empty it out to make sure there's no breeding mosquitoes. Also, don't forget to remove the saucer at the end of hot weather so that you've got no chance of mosquitoes breeding through the wetter months when you're not needing to have the saucer there. And the third quite common way for mosquitoes to breed is in plants like this. So this is a bromeliad that has quite a space in it to hold water. Now, not all bromeliads do this, but these types definitely need to be flushed regularly because they are shocking mosquito breeders. Now, I mean, that's not even really shifting potential mosquitoes. So hosing with a hose, I'm just using a watering can because it's easier to show you, is a way to flush out potential breeding mosquitoes. Ideally, if you're in a bad Buruli hotspot or an area that's filled with mosquito-borne diseases, I would be not growing these plants in your garden because they pose a danger to your health and your family's health. Here's another spot to beware of breeding mosquitoes. Rain gauge, you think that I would empty this more, but it just shows you that it's easy to forget. Full of yucky looking water, could be breeding mosquitoes, empty that out, pop it back, no mosquitoes. Here are a couple of other likely contenders for mosquito breeding. The old accidental bucket left out, forgotten to put away. If you must store buckets out where there is rain, then store them upside down. And also peck bowls. So preferably put them in an area where you can refresh them quickly, empty them out, fill them up again, but never leave them long enough for mosquitoes to breed in a few days. Here's a really simple method to help keep sneaky mosquitoes from getting in past your screen door defences. These work well when they're closed, but as we know, not all members of the household are good at doing this. And so at dawn and dusk, which are the peak mosquito times, in mosquito season, then it's good to keep some mosquito coils and some incense. This is taking a while to get going, this one. They're quite hard to get going. It's good to keep these at the front and back doors to act as an extra layer of defense. And the scented smoke with oil of citronella in it helps to keep mosquitoes away from this area, making it safer to get in and out of your house. If possible, keep all your edible garden plants where you're going to be getting into harvest lots with the lettuce and the tomatoes as they're ripening, etc., not in a possum through zone. So unfortunately, this was placed somewhere where I'm going to need to move it after this summer harvest because the power line where the possums are coming in and out of our property is directly over this, so the possums could poo, Buruli containing poo or scats into this bed, and therefore are more likely to be exposed to it when in daily harvesting. So try to move your vegetable garden beds to where there are no possum highways, if possible, or also protect them with protective wildlife safe netting.